Hong Kong is famous for being a cosmopolitan city. You can find people of different races and as well as their home culture here. For example, you may find Japanese, Arabs, and Koreans. But among all these, the effect of Western culture from the USA and the UK is the most dominant. There is no doubt that the Western culture has already thorned into ours. We claim that our people are strongly influenced by the Western culture, but indeed, there is still a quite large difference between our culture and the Western one. Let us take a closer look. First, we'll start with the basic one, greetings. For Hong Kong people, whenever we saw our friends, no matter if they're close or not, they'll simply say hello and goodbye. While for people in the Western societies, they give kisses and hugs to the people they meet. There is no difference in their greetings between those who have known each other for a long time or people they have just met. In the Western, people are taught to be more enthusiastic. Secondly, we'll talk about clothing. In Hong Kong, people wear t-shirts and trousers even when they're at home. In the West, people don't mind only wearing underwears at their homes. We may think them as having less self-respect, but on the bright side, they're just being open-minded. Thirdly, it's about food. In Hong Kong, you can try all kinds of food, whether they originated from Thailand, India, or France. Hong Kong is probably the only place where you can have a go of all kinds of food all over the world. Even for a simple family supper, there will be a few courses, including vegetables, meat, and rice. But for the Western people, what they usually have are only burgers and pasta. Fast food and spaghetti are what they only get. The eating habits in Hong Kong is way healthier than those in the Western world. Fourthly, we discuss the housing problem. In Hong Kong, there is not much land for us to live in. Buildings are getting taller and taller in order to provide more living space for the people. Only those who are incredibly wealthy can afford to live in houses. Meanwhile, a large percentage of people live in houses in the West. This is because they have larger open area to live in and also because of their desire to have a more relaxing lifestyle. Living in a crowded place just isn't what they want. Fifthly, let's talk about transportation. Hong Kongers are more used to traveling by public transport, mass transit railways, buses, taxis, and vans. To name a few, you may choose whatever you want to go to school or to go to work. While for Western people, most of them own a private car. There are a limited choice of public transport. Sometimes there is not even a choice for them. They need to drive for themselves for a long distance. Hong Kong is a more convenient place when it comes to transportation. Sixthly, it's the differences between our activities and theirs in the leisure time. Hong Kongers go for karaokes, dancings, and drinking. Of course, we also do sports like soccer, basketball, badminton, ice skating, and tennis, etc. In the West, people have fewer leisure activities. For most of them, leisure is all about sports like soccer, swimming, and rugby. And that's all. Fortunately, they get something which we don't have often. It's dancing ball. Western people always hold balls which they all need to dress glamorously and dance for all night. But in Hong Kong, we seldom have chances like this. Seventhly, let's have a look at music. Most Hong Kongers usually listen to Canton pop music. When compared with the Western music, the Canton ones offer less choices. There is not much differences between each song. For the Western music, they are classified into pop, rock and roll, jazz, classics, R&B, country, and blues, etc. You can tell a great difference between each type of them. For people who love music, listening to Western one is definitely a better choice. Last but not least, it's about education. In Hong Kong, we concentrate on learning knowledge that we can find from the textbooks. We seldom get out of our classrooms to observe the nature or the world. In the West, the situation is just the opposite. Western pupils always get chances to explore the nature. They're not content with the knowledge they learned from the textbooks. They want to know more by finding it by themselves. On education, we should learn from the Western culture. A huge gap exists between the Hong Kong's culture and the Western culture. To follow which one of them doesn't really matter. All that really matters is whether you can follow your own thoughts or not. Just choose the one that makes you feel comfortable and logical. As long as we're happy with our own choices, what's the differences between all cultures? We should develop our own cultures according to our own comparative advantages, while at the same time learn how to respect rather than to reject other cultures. Only by observing these basic principles can the world be made a better and more colorful place to live.